We can't let Rachel get free, Chris Jones said with an intense look in his eyes. It's good that you've got your ear to the ground on this. It gives us some time. I think it's about time Rachel got into some trouble in prison, don't you? Instead of getting out early, her sentence needs an extension. Chris turned to face the window. It's a lot easier to protect Olivia and everyone she cares about while Rachel is in prison instead of out, he thought. I couldn't agree more. Sven nodded. Is there any other news? Chris asked. Nothing coming up too soon, I don't think. Sven said thoughtfully, trying to remember if he had covered everything. That about does it. Then a mischievous look came over Sven. Do you have any news? What do you mean? Chris asked, confused by Sven's tone. When Sven gets that look on his face, it usually means something eye-rolly is coming. Chris thought warily. You and Olivia have been more publicly in love than ever. And I even picked you up after you whisked her away to Italy, so? Has anything happened yet? Sven waggled his eyebrows. Happened? Chris struggled to follow. You know. Sven raised his eyebrows suggestively. Getting down to business? The bedroom rodeo, the devil's dance, a trip to Bone Town, Oprah's favorite thing. Chris's confusion immediately shifted to understanding. Okay, I get it. Chris interrupted. I was right. It was eye-rolly. He sighed to himself. Sven stared at Chris with wide, expectant eyes, then quickly added, Bringing an el dente noodle to the spaghetti house. I don't know if we really say that one here, and no, nothing like that has happened. That's all I'm gonna say. Chris smiled. You haven't? Still? Why not? Do you need a pep talk? Sven teased. Chris, you're killing me with this. Will they, won't they? I'm starting to think you won't. Don't you have work to do? Chris shook his head dismissively. He looked at the computer in front of Sven. If you need more to do, I can arrange that. All right, I won't ask any more. Sven chuckled. You're no fun to gossip with. Chris did not respond to Sven, but his thoughts stayed on Olivia. There was a time when he was younger that maybe he would have indulged Sven with some of those private details. But his time with Olivia felt different. He wanted to take that step with her, but he knew it would be great when the time was right for both of them. What they did and didn't do was special between the two of them, and it felt right to keep it to himself. Remembering the recent vulnerable, sweet conversation he and Olivia had about their relationship made him happy all over again. Chris smiled softly to himself. On the other side of town, Beatrix Cooper left Carolina Crawford's place and headed straight for the Rose Company headquarters. She arrived and marched right into Mark DeLillo's office. Oh, hello, I was not expecting you. Mark blinked at Beatrix. Beatrix saw Jared Nevin sitting across from Mark, and she was stunned for a moment. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't see your assistant outside, so I let myself in. It's fine. Mark waved his hand. My assistant wasn't there because I sent them elsewhere. I figure if I'm able to send people to plant eyes and ears around town, so can other people. When I have really important private business to discuss, I send the assistant away just as an extra precaution. You know, spies and such. Miss Cooper, do I have that right? Jared asked politely. He stood up from his seat and smoothed his suit jacket before he extended his hand to Beatrix. I'm Jared Nevin. Jared Nevin. Beatrix smiled as she shook Jared's hand. Nice to meet you. Mark DeLillo looked from Beatrix to Jared and back again. I don't want these two to get too close, he decided. Beatrix is cooperating well enough, but she's still competitive with me when it comes to impressing the mysterious man. I have invested a lot of time and resources into getting Jared on my side. I don't want Beatrix complicating things or getting any ideas. Jared is mine. Jared assessed Beatrix carefully. Olivia had warned him about her before. As he looked at Beatrix, he sensed Olivia was right about her. Jared knew Olivia didn't take every rival of hers too seriously. But Beatrix was different. If Olivia thinks Beatrix is a legitimate threat, she must be pretty bad news. Beatrix took the opportunity to size up Jared as well. Everyone in New York City always talks about this young genius from the Nevin family. But I thought Mark was working with Jake Nevin, his brother. Why would he send his assistant away to avoid overhearing a meeting with Jared? Since you clearly have something to discuss with President DeLillo, I will give you the room. I think we're good for now anyway. Jared smiled politely. Hold on, Jared, Mark said sternly. Jared worried for a moment that he offended Mark by offering to leave. He waited for Mark to continue. Next time, let's do dinner, Mark said with a friendly smile. Sure thing. Jared nodded in relief. You stay and chat. He's all yours. Once Jared left, Mark took a seat at his desk. So, what brings you here? Beatrix took a seat across from him, all warmth in her face gone. I just want to remind you that Olivia is not to be underestimated. Thanks. You went almost a whole day without bringing that point up again, but I appreciate it. Mark sneered. I wouldn't have to bring it up so much if you hadn't personally suffered the consequences of being on the wrong end of that advice so many times. Beatrix smirked. You should listen for once. How dare Mark still act like he's superior? Beatrix thought. He underestimates Olivia, and his even bigger mistake is underestimating me. Mark's contemptuous smile froze as he realized Beatrix's insult. It was just one careless mistake and a misunderstanding that got blown way out of proportion, Mark muttered. A careless little mistake? Beatrix smiled. She found Mark's characterization of what happened very amusing. That's an interesting way to say it. What are you talking about? Do you think I can't handle Olivia? You think she's better than me? Mark raised his voice as he became more agitated. Of course not. Beatrix smiled innocently. Just providing a helpful reminder, sir. I happen to know her a little better than you, I think, but who's counting? Oh, really? Are you guys best friends or something? Mark scoffed. Beatrix ignored Mark's sarcastic question. I know her very well. I can't go into it now, but if you can't explain it, then why even bring it up? Mark snorted. This woman is such a waste of my time. I can hate this woman and Olivia and a few others and still be a feminist, Mark thought, reassuring himself. I've only been tricked by Olivia a few times. Beatrix thinks she can do so much better. She's cocky now, but just look at her own family. If it wasn't for me, all of the Coopers would be out on the New York City streets right now. Beatrix should think twice about criticizing me. She's one to talk. Beatrix clenched her fists at her side and fantasized about throwing the tacky porcelain urn on the coffee table at Mark's head. How is Mark this big of an idiot? He is so self-righteous and he needs to be put in his place. I'll take this garbage out myself if I have to. Mark reached for a random manila folder with some documents in it and flipped it open. Beatrix, if you don't mind, I'm very busy, as you can see. He was clearly irritated. Beatrix stood up in a huff. I can see that, yes. I won't bother you any more. Beatrix smiled sarcastically. I can't stand this guy for another second. Beatrix turned and marched to the door. The cold of the metal handle jarred her out of her anger for a moment. She took a breath and remembered why she had bothered to go there in the first place. There was a bigger picture for her to worry about. Beatrix turned back to Mark. Mark, I'm saying this to you because it's important. Mark looked at Beatrix impatiently. She's still talking, Mark groaned inwardly. Olivia is talented at using everything she has to her best advantage. You don't like hearing it, but you can't afford to underestimate her. If you do, you will lose. Badly. Again. Beatrix warned. Beatrix sure is obsessed with Olivia, isn't she? Mark fumed to himself. Is she just trying to get in my head? I mean, shut up about Olivia already. Whose side are you on? I heard you the first time, thank you. Mark smiled insincerely at Beatrix. Beatrix shoved her way out the door in disgust. As soon as the door closed behind her, Mark picked up the porcelain urn on the coffee table and threw it with all his might at the door, smashing it to pieces. King Idiot Mark has no idea what he's doing. He never listens. Beatrix seethed in the car on her way to the Cooper house. She released all of the rage she held back from her conversation with Mark. Garbage people like him deserve to die. I didn't even warn him about the park company and Confluence merging. He would have just given me a bunch of attitude anyway. I don't know why I even bother. Beatrix took a deep breath and tried to brace herself for the return home. She found herself reflecting on the state of her family. The Cooper family status was nowhere near as good as it was in the past, but it was much improved over when they had been in dire straits. Once Beatrix's father, Brett Cooper, was sure that his brother, Ryan Cooper, planned to give up his position as grandfather Kenneth Cooper's successor. Brett decided it would be his chance to overtake his brother. Once Ryan was out of the way, Brett would finally have a clear shot at becoming the successor instead. In the past, Brett had grown used to knowing his performance in life and business wouldn't matter much, because his brother Ryan would become the head of the family anyway, while Brett stayed forever sidelined. As a result, he rarely applied himself. School, work, it never mattered to him. Truthfully, he probably should not have graduated college at all, since he barely studied or showed up. Kenneth donated enough money to the university to ensure that Brett got his diploma with the rest of this class. Ryan's plan to leave the family suddenly changed all of that for Brett. This was his chance. The moves he made had the potential to matter like they'd never mattered before. For the first time, Brett knew what it was like to not live with an automatic ceiling for success and power hanging over his head. He wanted to succeed. He completely threw himself into the Cooper business more than ever, since he would likely be the one to take over. He cared about taking care of things that were his, or at least things that would be his eventually. Kenneth Cooper did not know about Brett's plan. As far as he knew, Brett had just become more promising all of a sudden. He thought his son finally matured, and that it was a good sign he was working so hard for the company. In contrast, Ryan disengaged significantly from the Cooper business as he prepared to announce his departure. He would still make public visits to city officials and attend gatherings as a representative of the Cooper family. Kenneth found Ryan's behavior strange, but he did not say anything about it. Nisha Cooper still hated Beatrix, and was certain that Mark DeLillo would drop Beatrix sooner or later. She knew that once that happened, the Roses would likely drop all of the rest of the Coopers too, and then they would be in major financial trouble again. Nisha walked past a row of high-end stores after she did some shopping. As she walked, she had a lot of time to think. It's strange. Ryan has suddenly become so generous. The business must be doing better, Nisha thought as she admired the fine jewelry she just bought. She thought about how naive she had been for thinking the Cooper family was the most powerful family when she first married into it. I showed so much respect to my father-in-law and my husband. But where did that get me? At least I can have some nice things again. Nisha looked at the new glittering bracelet on her wrist. Shopping does make everything feel better, she thought. The quality gold and the exquisite design of the bracelet were top quality. Nothing makes a lady feel better than jewelry. Men can't make you happy. Ryan hangs on to money instead of spending it. His money would look so much better if he wore it. Nisha sighed. If only I understood that sooner. I wasted so many years of my life. The more Nisha looked at the bracelet, the more she liked it. I can't wait to show this off to my sister-in-law. Even though I can't stand her daughter, it does seem like maybe Beatrix has improved our situation after all. Nisha quickly headed home. Nisha returned home and got into the private elevator that went up to the Cooper home. She immediately ran into Beatrix. "Fancy meeting you here." Beatrix ignored Nisha's greeting, but she noticed the jewelry draped on Nisha's neck, ears, and wrists. "Jewelry shopping spree, huh? You're so clueless you don't even know where the money came from. Just don't ask questions and spend, spend, spend." Beatrix smirked at Nisha. "That jewelry is really stunning." "You think so?" Nisha asked, surprised. She had hoped to show off her jewelry, and Beatrix made it easy. Nisha made a show of tucking her hair behind her ear to draw attention to the heavy golden bracelet on her wrist. "Wow, that golden bracelet looks expensive." Beatrix smiled, playing along. "It's fine," Nisha sighed, pretending to be humble and oblivious. "Your uncle bought it for me. He's been doing that kind of thing a lot lately. Speaking of which, I suppose I have you to thank for improving the Cooper family's fortunes. I was skeptical, but I can admit when I'm wrong. You really did it for us." Beatrix smiled and stifled a laugh. "Of course. Ryan didn't tell you where that money came from. Nisha is such a clueless airhead. It's hard to decide whether to laugh or feel sorry for her." Beatrix thought about it for a moment, but before concluding, "No, I definitely want to laugh." Suddenly, Beatrix had a new idea. "I might as well have some fun with her. She makes it so easy." "Seems like Uncle Ryan has been out and about a lot lately," Beatrix said, carefully watching Nisha's reaction. "Oh yeah, he's very busy. There are just too many social events." Nisha sighed cluelessly. "The Cooper family business is doing so well now, he's got a much fuller calendar." "Uh-huh." Beatrix nodded thoughtfully. After a moment, she continued, "But why are there so many more social events now? It's way more than when the Cooper family business was at its very best, and it's still nowhere near that right now. That doesn't really make sense, does it?" "Well, Nisha stammered. The realization that something was not adding up slowly dawned on her. Ryan is always out for work things, not just on work days, but on the weekends, too. He always leaves early in the morning and returns so late." "Oh, that's right," Beatrix exclaimed, pretending to have just thought of something. "I saw someone in town today who looked really familiar. A lot like your daughter-in-law. I didn't know if it was her or if she was back in New York City." Beatrix eagerly awaited Nisha's reaction to the news. "What?" Nisha asked as the color drained from her face. "Who did you see?" "I saw..." Beatrix paused, pretending to think hard. She laughed and waved her hand. "It's possible I was wrong. Uncle Ryan is so busy every day. Even if it actually was Alice, Uncle Ryan would not have time to see her, obviously, with all of his social obligations for work, like you said." Nisha could not conceal her anger that Alice Cooper might be in New York City. "Is that tramp really back in the city?" "That's a good sign that Uncle Ryan is spending on so many nice things for you. Everything must be going well." Beatrix nodded encouragingly. Nisha relaxed a bit after hearing what Beatrix said, until Beatrix spoke again. "I mean, it's not like he would be spending that much on you out of guilt, right? Like if Alice is back and it's not a coincidence, nah." Beatrix waved her hand as if that idea was ridiculous. Just then, the elevator opened. "I'm getting off here." Beatrix smiled innocently and walked out of the elevator. She did not need to look back to guess the look on Nisha Cooper's face. "This will be good," Beatrix cackled inwardly. The elevator door slowly closed and Nisha was alone. Her composed face immediately crumpled into a horrified expression. Her heart raced and her stomach was in her throat. Thoughts of her husband in bed with their daughter-in-law Alice flashed through her mind. She could already hear everyone in all of New York City laughing at her. The unbearable memory of the real scandal was like a knife to her heart and her nerves. She looked down at the fine jewelry she wore. What she had admired so much earlier suddenly felt like white-hot torture devices. They were symbols of betrayal. Expensive, but still of betrayal. She anxiously pulled off all the jewelry and threw it in the shopping bag as if it were all cursed. Then Nisha made up her mind. I know what I have to do. I have to investigate Alice's whereabouts. If that witch floozy dares to return to New York City, I'll strangle her to death with my own hands. Everyone was busier than they had ever been. Olivia maxed out day after day, juggling everything on her plate. She often fantasized about being able to stop time, so she could even have a little breathing room. Frances, Millie, and the rest of the friend crew were constantly working on the Confluence's new game day and night. Even Lena was putting in more time in spite of her injury. Michael was laser-focused on the merger, working overtime until late at night. Morgana was not involved with the business side of things, but she remained busy with her duties as a protector and occasional file organizer. While everyone was so busy, Victoria found herself in the opposite situation. She knew it was all important business, but it was hard not to feel lonely. Victoria felt the loneliness, especially as she stared at the dinner she prepared spread out on the kitchen table. Each plate sat before an empty chair. She waited and watched as it grew cold. She ate her own dinner and waited for the others. Victoria sighed and rested her chin on her hand while she played a word game on her phone. Everyone is too busy even for dinner, Victoria thought wistfully. At last, Victoria checked the time and saw it was already 10 o'clock at night. She knew it was time to throw in the towel and wearily stood up. She covered the plates of food and put everything in the fridge. Then she cleaned the kitchen. She sighed lightly and muttered, I wish Polly was here. At least then I'd have a buddy. I could give her a bath or something. Victoria reflected on her life up to that point. Before she met Michael, she was a spoiled rich girl from an outrageously wealthy family who had no sense of the real world. She studied finance for a time, but when she got together with Michael, she became a full-time girlfriend. She lost interest in school and threw herself into the relationship completely. After their relationship ended, she was too proud to go begging for help from wealthy family or friends. She finished her degree and got an accounting job in New York City. Once she was on the job, she found out quickly that the things she learned in school did not exactly translate to the workplace. She started from zero, and thanks to a combination of resilience, hard work, and stubbornness, she managed to keep up with the job and raise her child on her own. From then on, her singular goal was to work hard to give Olivia the best life she possibly could. Victoria remembered how just when things seemed stable for her and Olivia on their own, Michael barged back into their life. How could she say no to all of the opportunities he could provide to their daughter? She wanted to leave Michael in the past, but for the sake of her child's future, she compromised. As she thought about Olivia, she missed her even more. Victoria saw Olivia so infrequently these days that she would jump at any sound in the corridor, hoping it was Olivia coming home. She looked back on how even after Olivia had moved in at the Johnson mansion, Olivia always came back to see her and eventually moved back to live with her. Victoria had never been happier. Soon after, Michael moved in too. Victoria couldn't help smiling. She felt so lucky to have ended up with such a happy life surrounded by the people she loved most. It was a rare thing for anyone to have, and yet everyone was so busy. Victoria lit a light on for Olivia and then retired to her room. She took out the jacket she bought for Olivia earlier that day when she saw it in a window after work. She looked at it fondly before she folded it and put it away. She went to bed and closed her eyes. Just as she was about to fall asleep, she heard the front door open. Olivia and Morgana's voices carried down the hall, and Victoria's eyes snapped open. "Shh, we have to be quiet. My mom is probably asleep," Olivia reminded with a finger to her lips. "Right, sorry," Morgana whispered and followed behind Olivia. They quietly walked into the kitchen. "I'm kind of hungry," Morgana said. "Didn't you already eat?" Olivia asked Morgana in disbelief. "That was hours ago. I'm hungry again. All this fun Morgana energy has to get fueled somehow," Morgana said as she patted her rumbling stomach. Olivia chuckled quietly. "Let me see what I can find." "Yay!" Morgana whispered. Just then, Michael walked in through the front door. "Dad, you're just getting back now?" Olivia asked in surprise. She could see he was still wearing a suit. "Late work night?" "That's right," Michael nodded. "I am starving." "I hear that's going around," Olivia joked. "I was just going to get something for Morgana if you want in." "Definitely in," Michael confirmed. Olivia tiptoed to the kitchen. Just as she walked past the living room, Victoria's bedroom door opened. Olivia noticed her mom's tired eyes and smiled apologetically. "Sorry, did we wake you up?" No, Victoria smiled. "I wasn't really asleep anyway. Are you all hungry?" "Yes!" Morgana cried as she raised her hand. "I made dinner for everyone tonight. I'll just heat it up," Victoria offered. "Mom, you go back to sleep. We've got it," Olivia insisted. "It's fine. I want to," Victoria exclaimed as she opened the fridge. "Go wash your hands." Olivia, Morgana, and Michael washed up and joined Victoria at the table. "I made a few things that I know you guys like," Victoria explained as she gestured to the hot plates of food. Everyone helped bring out the food and spread it on the table. "It smells so good," Morgana sang. "It does," Olivia agreed. She had not been hungry when they got home, but the delicious fragrance and look of the food made her stomach growl. "Please eat." Victoria smiled and sat back, finally content. "Mom, if you're tired, please don't worry about us. Go back to sleep," Olivia said. She looked at her mom and felt a pang of guilt. "I've been so busy, I didn't even think to tell her we wouldn't be home for dinner. But here it is, ready to go just for us. We don't deserve her." "I'm not tired, I promise," Victoria assured her. Love emanated from her eyes. She was so happy to be with her family again. "Feeding everyone is kind of my thing. Let me have this." "I'll let you have it. Your cooking is amazing," Morgana said between enthusiastic bites. "It's so much better than the takeout we had earlier." "No one makes it better than my mom," Olivia beamed proudly. "Lucky us," Morgana grinned. "You all being happy makes me happy," Victoria smiled. After dinner, Michael returned to his apartment for the night. Olivia and Morgana got ready for bed. When Olivia came out of the bathroom, she saw Victoria cleaning up the dining table. "Mom," Olivia said sternly, "let us get that. And tomorrow don't wait up for us. We'll be quiet when we come back so you can get some rest." "I don't mind," Victoria insisted. "I'm happy that you guys are back." "I know." Olivia sighed and gave Victoria a big hug. "I was just feeling so grateful that everything that I lost more than 10 years ago has all come back to me because of you," Victoria said happily as she caressed Olivia's hair. "I want you to have everything and more. You deserve it." Olivia smiled. "You know what my biggest dream for my life always was? I've never talked about this." Victoria chuckled sheepishly. "What?" Olivia asked in surprise. For as long as Olivia had been living her new do-over life, she had been completely focused on revenge and justice, not just for herself, but for her mother too, as well as her friends. If there was something her mom still wanted, Olivia would do anything to make sure she got it. A bigger house, maybe? No, it's about you. Victoria smiled warmly. Me? Olivia asked, stunned. Is it about which college I go to? Or my career? Revive the Park family business? No, I never wanted that to be your responsibility. It's amazing what you've accomplished, and I'm so proud of you. But those are not what I'm talking about. My dream was that someday, whoever you decide to settle down with would be supportive of you. You're a giant star, bigger than the sun. I always knew you would be special, and you deserve someone who enjoys basking in your light, not someone who is threatened and wants to dim it even a tiny bit. It seems like Chris is like that, and I hope he really is. Olivia marveled at how much her mother worried about her needs and happiness. Before she could stop it, tears welled up in Olivia's eyes and escaped down her cheeks. Oh, Mom, Olivia croaked. I think he is, but don't worry. I won't get married until I'm completely sure that I'm ready. I'm glad. Victoria nodded and wiped the tears from Olivia's face. Olivia laughed at herself, embarrassed by the emotional outburst. Sorry, I wasn't expecting you to drop a major mom love bomb on me. Just then Morgana walked out. What's all the laughing and crying about? It's fine, just a mom and daughter thing. Victoria smiled knowingly. Olivia squeezed her mom's hand gratefully. She thought about how glad she was to be able to reconnect with her mom that night. Tonight, everyone is happy, and I hope we all have sweet dreams. Tomorrow, I declare war on Mark DeLillo and the Rose Company. I will never lose to Olivia again, Mark DeLillo thought coldly. I'll die before I do. Mark spared no expense or resource to promote the Rose Company ahead of the summer. He started by giving away special promotions and massive discounts for advance reservations at the hotel. He was even offering to cover airfare in some cases. He upped the ante and offered complimentary wellness full-body scans at the spa. Many people thought Mark was crazy, but he was not afraid to go against the grain and take huge risks. He really needed this to work, and he could not afford to lose. Not to Olivia. Not again. Not ever again. Typically, discounts like the ones Mark offered were reserved for major holidays. It was very unusual to do them at this time in the year, and so far out. No one could offer discounts like that for such a long time without going bankrupt. Mark's bet was that he could be the one to pull it off. Everyone wondered how he was doing it. Mark poured money into social media influencers and all kinds of innovative word-of-mouth strategies. He targeted every demographic based on market research that also cost a fortune. He networked day and night, attending trade shows and conferences, high-profile events and fundraisers. He hosted charity events to get his name and brand associated with nothing but positive feelings. Mark managed to go on a few dates with Taylor Swift and was careful to part ways as respectful friends. The wildest, most out-of-the-box tactic Mark tried was when he independently produced a 10-episode original television show that was entirely set on the Rose Company property and streamed it on their website. He got The Rock to make a cameo in it. This stunt was so wild that it had everyone talking, and the show was even favorably received by some critics. Thanks to Mark's outrageous efforts to generate endless buzz, the Rose Company was already the most popular in New York City. Every major media outlet wanted to interview Mark DeLillo. The fact that he was such a young man running the biggest new empire in New York shocked and amazed the public. Mark's charm and confidence during his media appearances, combined with his stylish clothes and handsome appearance, made him one of the most desirable bachelors in the country. It seemed like Mark had finally overcome the scandals of his past. I'm finally going to beat you, Olivia Johnson. Mark sneered at a glossy picture of Olivia in a magazine one morning. He remembered the times Olivia had publicly outsmarted and humiliated him. His face felt hot at the memory. She had nearly cost him everything after the Handler Gala stunt. He also recalled Beatrix Cooper's nagging about Olivia. I'm not supposed to underestimate you, but where are you now? The truth is, you're overrated. I'm going to win, and I was always going to win. Everyone knows I'm better than you, and soon I will crush you into the ground." He dramatically tossed the magazine into the trash. Mark arranged for another interview with the reporter to take place in the Rose Company offices. He showed off the brand new facilities and the impressive staff, and hinted at enticing plans and offers for future patrons. "Wow, President DeLillo, the offices are amazing," the reporter cooed. "Better than the park company, I'd say. We had an interview with them before." This was music to Mark's ears. He bashfully waved off the reporter's compliment. He knew it was important for PR to appear humble. The park company used to be the Johnson Company, which was the leader of our industry in New York City. With so much history, they really knew the taste of the customers they served. Our company is brand new and just opened this year. How could we ever compare to the park company? All I can say is we're patrons in the same industry, and I'm grateful to even be here. We both want to serve the public. President DeLillo, you're just like all the rumors say. The reporter smiled adoringly. Is that so? What do the rumors say? That I care a great deal about what I do? And that I'm a feminist, I hope. Mark smiled directly into the camera. Everyone says you're so modest and a gentleman. The reporter winked. Well, gosh, that's nice. I'm glad it lived up to expectations. Mark said as he smiled at the ground and ran a hand through his hair. You can't always trust what you read on the internet. No, it's true, the reporter insisted. So tell me, it's been a few days since you launched. Can you tell us how it's been going? Sure, Mark said. A magician never reveals his secrets, of course, but everything has been going very well. Right now, everything is sold out for months ahead. And the earlier you book, the better deal you get, right? The reporter asked helpfully. That's right, Mark nodded. I noticed that the kitchen boasts high-quality ingredients in all of the cuisine. Even the seafood is fresher than what the park company has to offer. How did you do it? Will the deals you're giving away make you suffer any losses? All this quality for the price seems like an absolute steal. The reporter gushed. Mark looked like he was deep in thought about his answer before he responded. Our number one focus is on customer satisfaction. Nothing matters more. We've worked it out through careful research that what we're charging for the value will benefit us in the long run with loyal customers in the future. Really? The reporter asked, confused. How will you earn a profit, with the quality being so high and the discounts so steep? Honestly, Kim, is it all right if I call you Kim? Mark asked charmingly. Oh, yes, of course. The reporter nodded enthusiastically. Kim, I'm going to say something radical, and you can keep this in. Don't edit this interview. Money is not actually the Rose Company's goal. Mark smiled. My mission statement is to use this opportunity to let as many guests as possible who have never experienced the Rose Company get in on the ground floor. Unlike reality shows, we did come here to make friends, Mark said and chuckled at his own joke. The reporter giggled appreciatively. We want to understand our customers and build a long-term relationship, Mark continued. The number one most important thing about running a business is honesty. And the second most important thing is making a connection with your consumers. So you're basically in the business of friendship and making dreams come true, the reporter concluded. I couldn't have said it better myself. Mark smiled. I challenge you to find a company that values people more than the Rose Company does. Satisfaction is the most important thing. People want to be happy. I hope we can do that for everyone who stays with us, and enjoy the best grilled, sustainable shrimp of your life while you're at it. Mark laughed. We actually figured out how to remove all of the microplastics. No one else knows how to do that yet. Maybe you can't taste the difference, but you'll be feeling the benefits in your 60s, and that's a promise. Absolutely amazing. the reporter said breathlessly. Her eyes practically sparkled with admiration. President DeLillo, I have to say, I finally understand why so many women all over the internet are fighting to be the lucky Mrs. DeLillo someday. You are incredibly charming and impressive. I hope you don't mind me saying. I take it as a huge compliment. Who would be mad to hear about that? I just don't know if I'm worthy of all the fuss. Mark smiled bashfully. I'm just me, and also a feminist, he said into the camera again. The reporter laughed flirtatiously. President DeLillo, you are really something. You have the wisdom and vision that a businessman should have. Yet somehow you're so young. Are you even old enough to drink at your own bar? I just have an old soul, I guess. Mark laughed, flashing his incredibly white teeth. And you're also so kind and humble, the reporter went on. You've helped dozens of charities, and you even recently broke up a fight at the Metropolitan Opera House and offered both parties a free stay after. These qualities are just really hard to come by, wrapped all into one person. Not at all. Mark shook his head shyly. I'm just a regular guy. I put my renewable organic pants that I purchased from a small local business on one leg at a time, and then I plant an oak tree to offset my carbon footprint, just like everybody else. I just happen to have endless enthusiasm for this industry. You are too modest, President DeLillo, the reporter beamed. She could tell Mark was feeling good, and a cunning look glinted in her eyes. I've got another question. Ask away, Mark smiled. Now that the Rose Company has made such big plans, are you expecting to go head-to-head with the Park Company? This was it. The bombshell. The real reason for all the press. I just need to stick the landing, Mark thought. I haven't thought too much about the Park Company since I started this endeavor. So no, I don't have plans to directly compete with the Park Company. I'm just a simple businessman who wants to create an incredible guest experience, Mark answered. I see. How refreshing of you, Mr. DeLillo. Maybe this will set the tone for the new era of business in New York. The reporter smiled and nodded. This opening will be such a welcome change to the people in this city. She turned to the camera and continued. I hope everyone can jump on the opportunity to book a stay at the Rose Company. Get a taste of the most upstanding business in the world. The reporter continued to smile for a few beats before she relaxed. Cut it there, I think we've got it, she said to the camera operator. And that concludes our interview. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. DeLillo. Oh, it's my pleasure. Mark smiled. I should be thanking you. You're a great interviewer. I've sat through a lot of them by now, and this was probably my favorite. You're too much. The reporter smiled slyly. If you need anything, please contact me anytime, she said as she handed Mark her business card. My personal phone number's on the back. I will, thank you. Mark nodded. A hint of irritation flashed through his eyes, but the reporter did not notice. The reporter and the small crew packed up their equipment and made their way out. Bye-bye, Mr. DeLillo. The reporter waved and blew a kiss in Mark's direction before she turned to leave. Bye-bye now, Mark waved. As soon as the reporter and photographers were gone, Mark's charming, easygoing demeanor instantly melted away in favor of Mark's true, volatile, and conniving self. He reached into his pocket, crumpled the reporter's business card into a ball, and hurled it into the trash. He turned and marched out of the office in an angry huff. He went straight to the elevator and smashed the button for the top floor. The top floor of the Rose Company building was the most luxurious private office suite. The number of times it had been used since the building first opened could only be counted on one hand. The office featured a room specifically designed to rest in. Mark sometimes made use of the room to rest or look at important documents in private. As soon as Mark closed the door to the private resting room, Mark walked to the desk and turned on the computer. He quickly looked up the park company and scanned through the online discourse. Mark had worked tirelessly to come up with a plan that would make the Rose Company eclipse the park company in the news cycle and in general popularity. One key part of his plan was the fine print in his famous discount on advanced bookings. To book a heavily discounted stay, guests were charged 30% up front, but it was less publicly known that the 30% deposit was non-refundable. Since the bookings were so far in advance, Mark bet that people would inevitably have to cancel for some reason or other, and the Rose Company would still get to collect 30% for nothing. They could even get away with double and triple booking rooms and dates because it was unlikely everyone would be able to make it. They could appease the inconvenienced customers who didn't cancel and were double booked with some excuse, and book them further out into the future. Mark knew it wasn't the most customer-forward scheme, but he wasn't actually in the business of pleasing people for free or telling the truth. His real goal above all others was to make profits and leave the park company in his dust. Mark did not believe he could win by playing nice or thinking too hard about what was best for the people. The more Mark read through news about the park company, the more agitated his thoughts became. Why hasn't Olivia had any kind of reaction to my success? Not a word. Not a single comment. She should be panicking right now and trying her hardest to compete. It's like I don't exist. There's no way she doesn't care, unless... Mark grinned as he considered the other possibility. I bet Olivia is out of ideas. She has no way to counter my moves at all. She's given up. Mark knew that it was very difficult to make a profit in their business. Since I have been handing out such steep discounts, Olivia's only real option to be competitive is to offer the same discounts or better for the park company. If she did that, though, there would be no way to keep the business afloat, Mark reasoned. The park company has its hand in many industries. Even though they took over the Johnson Company's businesses, the quality has never really changed. I, on the other hand, started a whole new business, and this is an advantage over Olivia. The park company is an old empire with expectations to meet. There is no way Olivia would risk tanking the idea of the business that competes with the Rose Company. She has no viable way to compete thanks to my brilliant strategy. Mark thought back to Beatrix Cooper's warning not to underestimate Olivia. He laughed disdainfully. Olivia's only advantage all along was that the park company was older and more established with consumers. Now I've turned her advantage into a disadvantage. I'd like to see Olivia even try to outsmart me this time. Mark's eyes lit up, and he felt the pride of victory coursing through him as he looked at the favorable reviews of the Rose Company. I deserve this. I work harder than anyone. I am so close I can taste it. I successfully brought the Rose Company back from the dead. It's all anyone is talking about, he gloated. Soon I will open new locations and expand. The dominance of the Rose Company in New York City is all but inevitable at this point. What? Mark snapped impatiently at the door. I was really having a moment. The door opened and Mark's assistant walked in holding out a document. Mr. DeLillo, have you seen this? She asked timidly. What is it? Mark frowned as he took the document from the assistant. Why are you so sweaty? He said. There's a minor problem, I think. The assistant stammered nervously. This document states that all of the hotel services will be cut back by 33%. He explained. How is this possible? Mark asked, still not fully believing what he was hearing. I'm sorry, sir, I don't know. Mark looked over the document and looked up at the assistant. That's my signature on the bottom, so I must have seen it before, he said. Well, I thought it might be a mistake, but if that is indeed the case, he hesitated. That will cause some major problems during guest stays at the hotel. How so? Mark smirked skeptically. What is he even talking about? He just doesn't understand my plan. The services will indeed be reduced by a third, but that's why we're invested so much into the look and aesthetic of the hotel. As long as everything looks expensive, people are satisfied. Who will care about a third of the services? They still get 2/3. Besides, young people only come to take pictures and post on social media. As long as the vibe is passable, it's all good. I'm sure our staff knows how to keep people's attentions on our strengths to distract them from what's missing. But the assistant tried to answer, but Mark interrupted. No buts. Our discount is unbeatable. Customers will understand it can't all be perfect. Mark shrugged. Maybe we can cut back on who we give the discounts to? Certain VIP reserved customers? The assistant squeaked hopefully. Are you the president of this company? Or am I the president? Is your name Mark DeLillo? Mark frowned. He was losing his patience now. I don't think so. I make the plans and you follow them, understand? Yes, of course, Mr. DeLillo. The assistant nodded empathetically. He swallowed any other questions or doubts. I've taken the future of the Rose Company into careful consideration. I'm the one who sees the big picture. I'm also the one bearing all the responsibility for what happens, so I make the decisions and I know what's best. I need my team around me to be of service in my carefully crafted vision, and I do not need people asking me useless questions that get in the way. Of course, I'm sorry. I will keep that in mind. Thank you, Mr. DeLillo. The assistant nodded and looked at the floor. Good, Mark said more calmly. This situation will take care of itself over time. This is a new business and there are startup costs. It's normal to get worse before it gets better. As they say, high risk, high reward. The assistant nodded slightly. The thought of turning around and running down all of the flights of stairs and out the front door, never to return, flashed through her mind. He fantasized about starting a new life in a motorhome and running a food truck in a national park somewhere in Montana. Is there anything else? Mark asked impatiently. There is one more thing, Mr. DeLillo, he said. He looked right into Mark's eyes and without hesitation said, I quit. Mark's face registered a look of sheer disbelief as his assistant announced his intention to quit. Inside, his thoughts were a whirlwind of rage and contempt. Quitting? Now? After all that I've built? Loyalty is a relic of the past. He fumed internally. He seethed at the thought of his moral high ground. Those who parade their so-called moral compass are the weakest. They crumble under real pressure. Unhelpful, every one of them. Despite his anger, a pragmatic part of his mind acknowledged a grudging respect for his boldness. I need him, especially now that the Rose Company is on the verge of something big. He dares to leave at a time like this. Mark fixed his assistant with a piercing look, his gaze sharp as knives. He shifted uncomfortably under his intense scrutiny, her resolve waning. Repeat that, Mark demanded, his voice icy. I don't think I heard you correctly. His assistant looked nervous, his voice wavering slightly as he reaffirmed, I want to quit, Mr. DeLillo. Why now? Mark's tone was incredulous. When things are finally booming, when I need you more than ever, you decide to quit? What's wrong with you? Do you have no sense of loyalty? As he opened his mouth to explain, Mark cut him off, his words laced with suspicion. What game are you playing? Do you want to leave right at our peak? Are you being poached? Who is it, Olivia? Someone from the park company? His accusations flew fast and furious, leaving no room for him to interject. Mark continued his interrogation, his voice a blend of frustration and disbelief. Why would you choose to leave now? You're a key part of this company's success. What could possibly be more important? A thick, awkward silence hung in the air between them until his assistant finally mustered the courage to speak. Mr. DeLillo, it's my parents. They're not well. I need to go back to my hometown to take care of them. Mark's expression shifted from incredulity to surprise. The news caught him off guard, softening his otherwise hard demeanor. Trying to appear more gentle and understanding, Mark softened his face and posture. I see. I've been on edge lately, and I unfairly attacked you. That wasn't right. He added somewhat awkwardly, I'm sorry to hear about your parents. That's tough. The assistant, still slightly scared and uncomfortable, responded, It's okay, Mr. DeLillo. I understand it's a stressful time. Mark cleared his throat, his attempt at appearing compassionate almost foreign to him. Could you possibly give me 2 weeks to find a replacement before you leave? I know it's a lot to ask, considering your situation. The assistant, sensing the slight shift in Mark's demeanor, agreed. Yes, I can stay for 2 more weeks. That should be enough time. The air between them remained awkward, the earlier confrontation still casting a shadow over the conversation. Mark, dismissing him, said, All right, you can leave for the day. His assistant quickly gathered his things, scurrying out of his office, relieved to escape Mark and his fury. As Mark watched his assistant walk away, his mind raced. Even though he's leaving for a family reason, I need to be on guard. Others might see this as a chance to jump ship, betraying me when I need them most. Mark thought warily. He pondered the loyalty of his employees. As the company grows, so does the circle of those I can't trust. Everyone's a potential traitor, waiting for their moment to stab me in the back. Mark's thoughts turned darker as he considered the success of the Rose Company. This growth, this success, it's put a target on my back. I can't afford to trust anyone. They might just be waiting to pull the rug from under me to see me fail. He resolved to push his employees harder. During this growth period, there's no room for rest. If they have any free time, they might start getting ideas and thinking about leaving. I can't have that. They need to be too busy, too tired to even consider it. Mark's internal monologue took on a determined tone. All eyes are on me now. I have to do whatever it takes to stay on top, to keep the Rose Company thriving. No half measures, no mercy. A chilling resolve settled over him. No one leaves the company. Not until this busy season is over. I don't care what it takes if someone tries to leave. If they threaten the company's stability, I'll do whatever is necessary, even if it means eliminating the threat permanently. The following day, Mark's interview dropped and instantly went viral. The internet buzzed with his name, each click and share amplifying his presence. Sitting in his office, Mark scrolled through the internet with a smug smile plastered on his face. The screen was ablaze with his image, each headline more flattering than the last. Listen to this, he chuckled to himself, reading aloud the praises showered upon him. Mark DeLillo, a visionary of modern hospitality. Huff, they've got that right. He continued, his voice dripping with arrogance. DeLillo's astute business acumen sets a new standard. I couldn't have said it better myself. The interview had taken over every news outlet in New York, painting Mark as the city's newest mogul. Reveling in his newfound fame, Mark proudly strode through the offices of the Rose Company. To every employee he countered, he boasted, Have you seen the news? I've practically broken the internet. My interview is everywhere, viral, they're calling it. His employees offered forced smiles, their eyes betraying masked annoyance. Really, it's no surprise, Mark continued, oblivious to their discomfort. When you're as brilliant as I am, people can't help but pay attention. It's a tough job being this successful, but someone's gotta do it. He laughed heartily at his own joke while his employees exchanged weary glances, their patience wearing thin under the weight of his ego. As Mark continued to bask in his own glory, a sudden chorus of chirps and beeps began to fill the office. One by one, employees pulled out their phones, their attention drawn away from Mark's self-praise. More phones joined the symphony of notifications, creating a cacophony of digital alerts. The sound swelled as more and more employees glanced at their screens, their expressions morphing from curiosity to amazement and shock. Excited murmurs spread through the office. This is so sick, one employee exclaimed, eyes glued to their phone. Wow, this is awesome, another muttered, their excitement palpable. This is gonna break the internet," a third declared, awe in their voice. Mark, sensing the shift in the room's atmosphere, grew increasingly upset. His face twisted in confusion and irritation. What could possibly be stealing their attention? He wondered, feeling a twinge of envy. Frustrated, Mark pulled out his phone and checked his notifications. His face turned beet red as he saw the news. Confluence had just dropped a new game, and it was taking the internet by storm. The video ad featuring a very famous actor playing on his phone. The high-quality production and the actor's charismatic presence made it clear that this was a major release. Mark tried to mask his aggravation as he watched his employees in the online world abuzz with questions about the game's release date. Internally, Mark seethed. "I hate Olivia and everything about the park company. They always find a way to—" Wait, Confluence? That's Michael Johnson's business. He's showing up his own daughter. A smirk slowly spread across Mark's face. The realization that Michael might be outshining Olivia brought a twisted sense of satisfaction. This is perfect. Olivia, getting overshadowed by her own father? It doesn't get better than this. Smugness washed over him at the thought of any potential rivalry within Olivia's family. Across town, the Confluence office was in full-blown chaos. The recent game announcement had set off a frenzy of questions about its release date. Employees were scurrying around, phones pressed against their ears, responding to the avalanche of inquiries. "I'm sorry, but I can't disclose the game's release date," an exhausted employee explained to a persistent caller. Another, fielding a barrage of emails, echoed the sentiment. "We appreciate your interest, but we're not at liberty to share that information yet." In the midst of the commotion, Olivia stood up. "Everyone, meeting in the conference room. Let's discuss our next steps and brainstorm ways to ride the wave of this ad campaign's success." The employees quickly gathered in the conference room, their faces a blend of excitement and anticipation. Olivia, standing confidently at the head of the table, began. "The ad's been a monster success. We need to capitalize on this momentum. I want to hear your ideas." One employee suggested, "What about a teaser campaign, dropping hints about the game's features?" Another proposed, "We could collaborate with influencers for exclusive previews." As the ideas flowed, Michael Johnson walked into the office, halting the meeting in its tracks. "Hold on, everyone," he announced, his voice commanding attention. "I've made a decision. This game is going to be a mobile game, not a full-fledged video game. We're testing the waters in the mobile gaming market." The room fell silent. The employees exchanged surprised glances. They all looked to Olivia, waiting expectantly for confirmation. Olivia smirked. "You heard the man. If it's a mobile game he wants, it's a mobile game he'll get. Let's show the world we never stand still." In the wake of the surprise ad for Confluence's new game, the headlines were ablaze, showcasing the buzz that had taken over the gaming world. "Confluence's surprise game reveal shakes up the gaming industry," read one article. "The gaming world on edge. When will Confluence drop their newest creation?" was another that went viral. The New York Times led with the headline, "Mystery and excitement surround Confluence's latest game. Release date fever hits fans." Even gaming influencers were getting in on the action. A popular streamer wrote a long post titled, "Confluence's Unannounced Masterpiece. Gamers worldwide clamoring for release date." In his office, Mark DeLillo sat brooding over these headlines, each one fueling his fury. The articles, all speculating about the eagerly anticipated release date, were a constant reminder of his fading spotlight. Talking to himself, his voice dripping with disdain, Mark muttered, "This surprise ad. They've upended the whole gaming world and now everyone's obsessing over their release date instead of focusing on my successes." He continued, bitterness creeping into his tone. "Olivia and Confluence just had to pull this off, didn't they? just as the Rose Company was basking in the limelight, they stole it away with their little game. Pacing his office, Mark's thoughts raced. I need a countermove. Something to divert this absurd attention back to the Rose Company. We're still the industry leaders, and I need the headlines to reflect that. Resolutely, Mark stopped pacing. I won't be sidelined by the Johnson family or their gaming antics. I'm Mark DeLillo, and I'll reclaim the top spot in the headlines. Do they want to play the media game? I'll show them how it's done. Mark's frustration reached a boiling point. With a forceful slam of his hand on the desk, he stormed out of his office. Striding through the halls of the Rose Company, he bellowed, I need all hands on deck for a team meeting now. This is not a drill, people. The employees looked up, a mix of fear, confusion, and annoyance on their faces. As he marched towards the conference room, Mark called out, I need the sharpest minds, the most creative people. I want ideas, and I want them to be brilliant. If you're not up to the task, stay out of my way. He paused, turning back to address the slower movers. And if you think you're dumb, do us all a favor, don't come. But you can make yourself useful by getting me tea. Now move. Seeing that no one had budged yet, Mark's voice escalated. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Do I need to spell it out for you? Move. His words seemed to jolt the employees into action, and they began to scatter towards the conference room, a sense of urgency in their steps. Muttering under his breath, Mark grumbled, Useless sheep, all of them. It's like herding cats. Mark paced around the conference room like a caged animal, his eyes darting sharply from one employee to another. Each person felt the weight of his gaze, knowing full well the pressure to perform was immense. All right, people. I need ideas, strategies, anything to get one over the park company. Let's hear them. Mark demanded, his voice echoing off the walls. An employee tentatively suggested, What if we release more discounts on our services? Mark scoffed. Discounts? We've already played that card. It's the reason we're in the lead. Think, people. Another employee piped up. Maybe a celebrity endorsement? Mark rolled his eyes. Celebrity endorsement? We already got The Rock. Who's more famous than that? We need something different. Next. A third employee ventured. How about a new ad campaign focusing on our luxury services? Mark dismissed it with a wave of his hand. Luxury services? That's just rehashing old news. Come on, I need groundbreaking, not Groundhog Day. As more and more ideas were thrown out, Mark shot each down more ruthlessly than the last. That's not innovative. That's been done to death. Are you even trying? Rubbing the temples of his forehead, Mark's annoyance was palpable. Does anyone have any insider news about the park company? Anything at all? One employee after another shook their heads. Nothing new, sir. No updates on their movements, Mr. DeLillo. I haven't heard anything, sir. Mark's frustration boiled over. Do better. We need to have our ears and eyes open at all times. Our competitors are not resting, and neither can we. He went on a rant, pacing more furiously. We need to know everything about the park company if we're going to beat them. Their strategies, their movements, even their lunch orders if it helps. I want informants, moles, anything. This is war. And in war, knowledge is power. We need to be 10 steps ahead, not 10 steps behind, scrambling for scraps of information. His voice grew louder with each word, his frustration echoing throughout the room. We are the Rose Company, and we do not bow down to competitors. We conquer them. The employees' frustration was growing palpable in the room. One by one, they began to voice their concerns. Sir, it feels like we're focusing more on the park company than our own business. An employee cautiously stated. Another added, We're spending too much time looking over our shoulder at them. Mark's anger and frustration mounted with each comment. I am the president of this company. I decide where our focus goes. If I say we watch the park company, then that's what we do. His tone turned authoritarian. If I want to spend an entire quarter getting intel on the park company, then that's what we'll do. I drive this ship, not you. Mark claimed his authority over the room, his voice rising with each word. You're all here because I allow it. I built this company from the ground up, and I won't let anyone, especially our competitors, bring it down. Remember who you work for. Disgusted with the outcome of the meeting, Mark waved everyone off. This meeting is over. It was a waste of time. Get back to work, all of you. As the room emptied, Mark muttered to himself, the better Michael Johnson does with Confluence, the worse Olivia looks. I don't need to worry about her right now. The Johnsons will tear themselves apart, and I'll be here to pick up the pieces. Across town at the park company, a meeting was underway, contrasting sharply with the tense atmosphere at the Rose Company. The market research department was presenting its latest findings to Olivia. Olivia, we need to acknowledge that currently the Rose Company is outperforming us in several business areas. One of the market research employees reported. Olivia's face tightened slightly, her frustration barely concealed. I see. Continue. She managed to say calmly. Another researcher chimed in. We suggest starting special deals to boost our visibility and compete more directly with them. Olivia was quick to reject the idea. No, we're not compromising the integrity of the park company for quick gains. I won't risk our reputation for a fleeting moment of success only to be criticized later. The park company has more at stake than the Rose Company. We're not resorting to creating fake deals. A third employee proposed a different approach. What if we increase our publicity by releasing our autumn projections earlier? Olivia shook her head. It's not time yet. Besides, the best advertisement we have is our building. The park company logo glowing over Manhattan is becoming iconic. It's featured in photos, TV shows about the city. It's a symbol of our presence and success. She addressed the room. We need to focus on our strengths, not worry about every move the Rose Company makes. Let's concentrate on maintaining our standards and let our work speak for itself. A PR team member interjected. Mark's interview has significantly boosted the Rose Company's profile. Meanwhile, Olivia, you've been turning down interviews. We need to generate some publicity for ourselves before the Rose Company overshadows us entirely. Olivia maintained her composure. Patience is key. I'm not ready to take interviews yet. We must be strategic about our media presence. Olivia, with all due respect, Mark's interview has put the Rose Company in the spotlight. We need to respond. One employee insisted. Another added, your voice is crucial right now. People need to hear from the park company directly from you. Olivia struggled to maintain her composure, her frustration simmering just below the surface. Inside, her thoughts raced. One successful interview from Mark and suddenly the pressure's on me like never before. I never expected this. I mean, why would I expect people to suddenly like Mark? He's horrible. Attempting to downplay the situation, Olivia responded, Mark's interview isn't the game changer you think it is. The Rose Company's success is fleeting. We have our own strategy. Her words, however, fell on skeptical ears. The employees weren't convinced, their expression showing a mix of concern and urgency. An employee from the back of the room suggested, what about an interview focused on Confluence? It could give both Olivia and the park company some needed traction without directly spotlighting the park company. Olivia, taken aback by the suggestion, snapped, Confluence? What does Confluence have to do with the park company strategy? We have our own identity, our own brand. We don't ride on anyone's coattails, not even Confluence. Olivia's reaction sucked the air out of the room. No one dared speak for what felt like an eternity. They all watched and waited to hear what she would say next. Olivia's gaze landed on the PR person who had brought up Confluence, her eyes flickering with annoyance. Do the rest of you think I should do an interview about Confluence and the new game? She asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. The employees exchanged uneasy glances, their discomfort palpable. No one wanted to be the first to speak up, fearing the backlash of disagreeing with Olivia. Olivia scanned the room, reading their silence as an affirmation of their thoughts about Confluence. Unbelievable, she thought. My own team thinks I should switch focus to Confluence just because Mark is having his moment in the sun. Internally, Olivia grappled with frustration. Do they not understand that building something timeless takes time? Instant growth is often fleeting and unsustainable? Are they so short-sighted? Are any of them considering jumping ship to the Rose Company? Attracted by Mark's current fame and success? Olivia was annoyed at the notion of having to justify her strategy to her own employees. Why should I have to prove my vision to those who are supposed to support it? Despite the doubts around her, Olivia remained resolute in her approach. I know what I'm building, even if they can't see it. My vision for the park company won't be swayed. Her train of thought was abruptly interrupted by the PR employee's suggestion. Maybe you should focus more on Confluence. Let Michael handle the park company for a while. Olivia was taken aback by the audacity of the suggestion. The idea of stepping back from her own company was unthinkable. Her commitment to the park company was unwavering, and she had no intention of relinquishing control to anyone, not even to her father, Michael. Olivia's posture stiffened, her voice sharpening with defensiveness. Why do you think I need to let Michael take over the park company? What's that supposed to mean? She grilled the PR person, her tone accusatory. Do you think he's a better leader than me? That his business strategy outshines mine? The PR person squirmed under Olivia's intense scrutiny. They hesitated before speaking. Olivia, it's not personal, but there's a lot of talk. People say you're not really doing anything at the park company. They think you're just sitting on a position that your grandfather handed to you. Olivia's face flushed with anger upon hearing this. Internally, she fumed. How dare they think I do nothing? That I'm just warming a chair in an office my grandfather gifted me. It's so sexist and unfair. They paint me as some pretty rich princess who's doing nothing to earn her place. They don't see the work, the strategy, the sleepless nights. This is the curse of being a woman in business. I have to constantly prove myself over and over, while men like Mark ride on their bravado and get applauded for it. Taking a moment to compose herself, Olivia addressed her team calmly. I'm aware of the online chatter, that people think I can't run this business without the help of my grandfather or father. One by one, employees nodded, confirming her suspicions. Yes, Olivia, those rumors are everywhere, one said. It's what everyone seems to believe, another added. Olivia's voice crescendoed into a passionate, defiant rant. I don't care what they say, what the rumors are, or what anyone outside these walls think. I am the CEO of the park company, and that is not going to change, not now, not ever. Her tone was fervent, her words sharp. I've worked tirelessly to build this company. I've put in the hours, made the tough decisions, and led us through challenges that would have broken lesser people. And yet they reduce me to just a figurehead. No, I refuse to accept that. Her eyes blazed with intensity. Let them talk. Let them speculate and spread their baseless rumors. It doesn't change the fact that I'm in charge here. I am the one steering this ship, and I will navigate us through whatever storm comes our way. Her voice grew louder, her stance more imposing. You think Michael or my grandfather are the reasons for our success? Think again. It's my vision, my leadership that has gotten us this far. And I will not be undermined by idle gossip and sexist assumptions. Her rant continued unabated. I don't need anyone's validation or approval. I know my worth, my capabilities. I am more than capable of running this company, and I will prove it to every doubter, every critic, every single person who thinks that they can diminish my achievements. The room was enveloped in stunned silence, her team taken aback by the ferocity of her words. Olivia's gaze swept across the room, challenging her employees to speak. She moved with a sense of authority, embodying the role of CEO with every step. Turning to the market research team, she inquired sharply, "Have you been snooping around the Rose Company? What did you find?" One of the employees responded, "We went over to the hotel and took some photos, but honestly, we couldn't find anything negative. The place is pristine, actually, quite lovely." Hearing praise for Mark's hotel only fueled Olivia's frustration. "Lovely? That's not what I wanted to hear." She then directed her attention to Jeff. "What about the investigator you hired? Has he found anything on the Rose Company?" Jeff shifted uncomfortably before replying, "Well, the investigator did find out that the Rose Company is reducing their services at the hotel by more than 30%. Olivia's interest piqued. "Why would they do that? Is this something we can use against them?" Jeff continued, "It seems like they're skimming off the top to appear more successful, but the truth is the cutbacks are making only a negligible difference." Olivia's face fell slightly, her hope of leveraging this information against Mark fading. She quickly regained her composure, her confidence unwavering. "Regardless, we are not going to stoop to their level," Olivia declared firmly. "The Park Company, formerly the Johnson Company, has been a New York staple for over a century. We will not reduce our quality just because the new kid is trying to make a splash. We have our integrity, our reputation, and we will uphold it no matter what the competition does." George Tang, a member of the PR family, cautiously spoke up. "I think we should at least consider some of the methods used by the Rose Company." He elaborated, "Their aggressive tactics have garnered them significant attention and growth. Maybe there's something we can learn or adapt from their approach." Olivia immediately countered, "The Rose Company's methods are shady and risky. They're compromising service quality and exploiting customers. It only takes one disgruntled customer, one bad experience to bring everything crashing down." George persisted. "Your grandfather in his time would have considered using these tactics. He was all about aggressive expansion." Olivia's expression turned one of fury at the mention of her grandfather. "My grandfather ran away from the company because his questionable tactics were being exposed. He nearly brought us to ruin. We will never use the Rose Company's tactics. They're short-sighted and destructive." Olivia then posed a pointed question to George. "Would you want to bring your family to a hotel under the Park Company if you knew our services were not above and beyond?" George looked visibly embarrassed, caught off guard by her direct question. "No, I wouldn't," he admitted sheepishly. Olivia nodded, her point made. "Exactly. Our commitment to quality and integrity is what sets us apart. That's the Park Company way." Olivia stood tall, her voice commanding the room as she began a stirring speech. "Listen, everyone," she started, her eyes sweeping across the room. "I know there are doubts, fears, and questions about our direction in the face of the Rose Company's aggressive tactics. But let me remind you of who we are. We are the Park Company, a legacy built on principles, quality, and a commitment to excellence. Our reputation wasn't built overnight, and it wasn't built on shaky ground. It was built through hard work, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to our customers. Our strategies might not be as flashy or as ruthless as the Rose Company's, but they are sustainable and ethical, and they have stood the test of time. We don't need to stoop to underhanded tactics. We rise by lifting our customers, not by tricking them." She looked around the room, seeing the admiration return to her employees' eyes. It spurred her on. "This so-called war between us and the Rose Company? It's not just a battle of businesses. It's a battle of values, of integrity. We stand on the right side of this battle, and I do not doubt that we will emerge stronger. Let's use this challenge as an opportunity to innovate, improve, and show the world why the park company has been a leader for over a century. I believe in each and every one of you and our collective strength. Together, we will not only endure, we will thrive. Her words resonated through the room, reigniting the team's confidence and excitement. As they moved forward with the meeting, a renewed sense of purpose filled the air. Meanwhile, throughout the city, business tycoons and industry leaders watched the battle between the park and the Rose Company. It was a spectacle, a clash of titans that would inevitably shape the landscape of the business world. But no one had a clue who would be left standing and who would be destroyed forever. The park company operated under airtight secrecy. But that didn't stop Confluence from making waves with a savvy new strategy that wowed millions across the world. Olivia focused hard on smart business plans for the park company that would help them win in the end against Mark DeLillo's splashy efforts at the Rose Company. But she did not worry about communicating that to anyone outside her inner circle at Park. Confluence Technology surprised the public by releasing a pop song. Everyone in the media and all of Confluence's gaming fans were surprised to hear the world's biggest blonde pop star and her songwriting prowess on display for a video game company. It was baffling. Why would they partner with her? Many people speculated about how much money the gaming company must have spent to partner with her, and for what? The song topped the music charts, but so did all her songs. When someone reached out to Michael expressing disbelief that his video game company would produce and release a very non-video game themed piece of music, he could only smile and say, "You'll see what we have up our sleeve." Confluence released the music video for the song, and their strategy became clear. The whole music video put the pop star and her famous fluffy cat into costume for their game. It looked like she was in the world of it, fighting in battles with completely computer-generated characters and environments, impressing not only the players but anyone familiar with the technical prowess needed to execute such a beautiful video. Michael announced that this music video and the partnership with the pop star and her cat was an ad for their upcoming game, and also would be its theme song. Their game became one of the most hotly anticipated pieces of media in the world. Michael's creativity and vision were admired throughout the tech world and beyond. When Michael gave interviews to various media outlets, he talked effusively about the creativity of their game, his team, and his leadership style, but did not say anything about his daughter, Olivia. If a reporter ever asked, he would give vague answers about the park company as a whole, but wouldn't engage in anything where he made direct reference to Olivia or Mark DeLillo. Reporters wanted him to, but he evaded them masterfully. After all the silence, the one to finally speak publicly of their rivalry was Mark. He was giving a TV interview where he praised Confluence Technology's hot song. The beautiful reporter who interviewed Mark last was conducting this interview once again. "Does this mean that Mark DeLillo also likes Confluence's games?" Mark smiled, leaning far back in his chair, looking as relaxed as he could manage. "I don't really like to play any games. I don't have the time. I'm sure you understand." She giggled. Mark continued, "I just heard a song a couple of days ago when I was in the car. Then the driver said it was the song for a new game by Confluence Technology. He said I should check out the video promoting the song in their game because it was amazing, so I did. They did a good job." The reporter smiled back at him. "I saw that video as well. Many of my colleagues are gaming nerds, and said I had to check it out. It's over my head, but they're really looking forward to it. I think they're surprised that it's the older Johnson and not his daughter that's so involved. We haven't heard a peep out of her recently." Mark nodded. "That's normal. The current situation with the park company is a little awkward. Michael Johnson is going to really stomp all over his own daughter's business this quarter." Mark paused for a moment, pretending he had made a mistake. He covered his mouth and looked apologetic. "Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I was just guessing." The reporter looked genuinely stunned. "Don't worry, it's fine." Mark grimaced playfully. "I'm really sorry. Can you cut that part out?" She smiled awkwardly. "Mr. DeLillo, we're live." She raised her hands at a loss and laughed apologetically. He laughed and nodded as well. "That's right, I knew that. Well, sorry everyone, and I am especially sorry to the Johnsons. I don't know what came over me." "Well," the reporter said with a coy look, "since we've already broken the seal on the topic, I would love to hear your opinion on your rivalry with the park company." "Uh-oh," he laughed. "This isn't good." She waved her hand. "It's not a big deal. I'm just asking for your personal, unofficial opinion. It's just between you, me, and several 100,000 people. And then a few 100,000 more later when the network posted online." He laughed again. "Is that all?" The reporter leaned forward. "So right now, there are a lot of different takes on the current situation online. But everyone seems to agree that the moves you've made recently have shown what an outstanding entrepreneur you are in your industry. Why don't you give us an analysis on why there hasn't been any improvement in the park company? And why everybody over there has been refusing to give interviews?" "So this," Mark began, then paused. He cleared his throat. "These are just my personal feelings. I'm making a guess. A pretty educated guess as someone in the same industry, but still, it doesn't mean it's true." The reporter nodded. "Of course." Mark began hesitantly. "What the park company is doing right now is pretty unusual. What's typical for our industry is to have announced your strategy for the high season next quarter and then publicize the heck out of it. That was what the Johnson Company always did before. But now Chairman Olivia Johnson is in charge and they're not the Johnson Company anymore. They're Park. So maybe this thinking changed as well." The reporter narrowed her eyes. "So are you saying this change is because of Chairman Johnson?" "Did I say that? I wouldn't have, did I?" Mark asked playfully. "Now, on the other hand, I think we can all tell exactly what her father, the president of Confluence, is up to." The reporter drew in a deep breath. "So Olivia Johnson is fumbling around, changing things over at Park, in over her head, and her father's just crushing it at Confluence Technology." Mark smiled humbly, folding his hands in his lap. "Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but if you think that, I don't know. I wouldn't argue." She nodded enthusiastically. "So that's exactly what's going on over there. Wow." The video of their conversation caused a huge uproar on the internet. All of a sudden, there was much more speculation and interest about the park company. Reporters applied more pressure on Olivia and everyone at her company, all hoping they could discover more details about what exactly she was up to, and they all hoped to hear that she was making a mess. Without warning, a swarm of reporters crowded the park company's lobby, trying to get in. At first, Olivia was confused. She had her head down, working, but Violet informed her that the reporters descended after the interview with Mark DeLillo. Upon hearing this, Olivia felt relieved. She knew she could count on Mark's inability to sit still. She smiled, picturing how to do this. Mark must have felt like he had no other options. He was hoping he could take her out with his half-baked spin. Olivia knew what Mark did not, that when he chose to strike at her, it should have been a killing blow. He gave her the opportunity to strike back. "What should we do?" Violet asked Olivia. "Do you want to continue to avoid it or—" Olivia's phone rang. She answered to hear Jeremy's voice. "All of the products and their auxiliary components have been completed. Everything's been QA'd and passed." He sounded tired, but pleased to be delivering this news. Olivia nodded. "All right, Jeremy, thank you." Jeremy continued hesitantly. Did I mess things up for you? I saw all that stuff online. I'm worried for you, Olivia." Both of them knew that the job he was doing for Olivia was something he had never done before, and he learned a lot of things on the spot. He'd also had to manage the Garibaldi relationship with Olivia at the same time. He'd been almost as busy as Olivia had herself. "No," Olivia smiled. "Your timing is just right." Jeremy let out a long breath, his anxiety quelled. "Okay, that's great to hear." Olivia felt grateful to have him on her team. "Thank you for your hard work." When Jeremy heard Olivia praise him, his stomach fluttered. He suddenly felt all of his hard work was worth it. Olivia finished her call with Jeremy and stood up. "Invite all of the reporters to the conference room. I will hold a press conference and inform them of our plans immediately. The official website will be updated in 10 minutes. Olivia gave Violet a serious look. "You will supervise this personally." Violet nodded. "Will do." "And?" Olivia smiled mysteriously as she added, "Contact Francis and the others immediately. In 10 minutes, they will also release the news at the same time. We're going to make some waves." "Let us in! We were just invited in!" Hands slapped the glass lobby doors as a swirling mass of reporters all shouted at once. The reporters swarmed around the park company building and couldn't believe that Olivia announced that a press conference was taking place upstairs that they should attend right away. They and the public were whipped up into a frenzy, ravenous to hear what Olivia would announce about the park company's secretive plans. Olivia, the wonderkind chairman of the park company, had once been considered a peerless genius in New York City. Was this silence because she had just been conserving her energy all along, lying in wait for this moment? Or was it really as Mark DeLillo had said? Did she have nothing? Was she in over her head? If Olivia would emerge triumphant, they were excited to finally report what she had been up to and share her brilliant plan with their audience. But if Mark had been right and she was about to be embarrassed, they would have been downright thrilled to be the ones to tell everyone that this young woman was an idiot after all. Either way, this press conference would be huge news. Before the press conference was announced, the reporters were prepared to camp out outside the building, waiting for anyone to emerge so they could shout questions. Nobody expected that the park company would actually invite them in and address them directly. When staff came downstairs with a smile to lead the reporters up, they almost couldn't believe it. "Right this way," someone said with a smile. Everyone nodded, being respectful but subtly trying to elbow their way into the front of the pack, determined to be the first to report on whatever was about to happen. Upstairs, Olivia's double-crossing intern, Lily Miller, stood in a hallway, holding a large stack of documents and frowning. What the hell is Olivia Johnson up to? Did I really just find what I think I found? She wondered silently to herself after what she uncovered in those documents. Lily knew there was some sort of press conference going on. But after what she had discovered, she knew that she had to report back to her mysterious boss at the first possible moment. She quickly hurried down the hall, hugging the stack of papers to her chest. Since Olivia directed Violet Cartwright to have Lily watch, a member of her team monitored Lily's every movement. When they saw Lily hurry away, they called Violet. "What's the matter?" Violet answered curtly. She had just contacted Confluence Technology as Olivia had instructed and was on her way to the large conference room for the press conference. She was as excited as anyone for the inane speculation of the keyboard warriors on the internet to be put to bed. Violet knew that Olivia would never let her down in the end. All of this waiting for her plans to come to fruition was worth it. Olivia was the god of war that Violet had always hoped in her heart she would get to serve. "Lily Miller has taken the bait," Violet's team member quietly informed her. "Got it," Violet replied. "Continue to keep an eye on her carefully. Don't tip her off. Keep me in the loop." Violet hung up the phone and got into the elevator. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, a hand stopped them. She rolled her eyes, annoyed at the interruption. The doors opened slowly, and Violet looked to see who had delayed her descent. She frowned as they revealed the face of Jeff Dreyer. Don't you have a special executive elevator that's gold-plated or something? She asked, annoyed. This one is for your lowly employees. He sighed, not expecting to run into Violet and not happy about it. That elevator was broken. He stood beside Violet and sniffed, fidgeting with his jacket. Miss Cartwright is not by Olivia's side. What have you been up to while something so important is happening? Not communicating with any of her enemies, I hope. Violet glanced at him, then kept her eyes forward. It's so frustrating that my whereabouts are not something Vice President Jeff Dreyer can control, isn't it? Jeff's eye twitched in frustration. He thought silently. This woman has such a knack for making it seem like I think things I don't. I'm warning you, he said aloud. I've got my eye on you. Violet smiled. What a sweet confession. You've been staring at me. Can't say I'm shocked. Jeff faced her teasing eyes, annoyed. You know what I mean, and I still haven't settled the score with you. Violet tilted her head. Settled the score? Settled the score for what? I don't remember owing you anything. Especially with all this staring you're doing, I feel like you're the one who owes me. Jeff looked embarrassed, which Violet loved. You told Mark DeLillo that I was a vampire fanfiction fanatic? You certainly owe me for that. Violet laughed. Why do you care? She gasped, covering her mouth. Oh no, are you mad because I was right? I don't want to make fun of your passion. I'll forget I ever mentioned it. Jeff huffed. I don't care what kind of nonsense you have in your head, and I don't want to know. A small smile crept up Violet's lips. You don't want to know what's in my head? She stepped toward him. Are you sure? A feeling that was like fear shot through Jeff as she breathed a couple of inches from his face. They held eye contact with each other. It seemed like time suddenly stopped frozen that second. Violet's eyes flashed with playfulness. The chairman said you are a very powerful psychologist, incredibly well-studied and very talented. There's this psychological theory that I don't know if you've ever heard of. Jeff finally recovered his senses, seeming to think only of the sweet, perfumey smell filling his nose. Is that a hair product? He thought silently before shaking it off. What? He asked out loud. If two people stare into each other's eyes for more than 10 seconds, they will have feelings for each other, Violet said, almost whispering. Jeff Dreyer, how many seconds do you think it has been? How dare you? Jeff cried as he suddenly took a step back to look away, a pink blush filling his cheeks. Violet laughed a deep belly laugh. She held her hands behind her back and backed up to the elevator doors just as they landed on a floor with a ding. The doors behind her opened. She stepped backward through them, still staring Jeff down. She kissed her fingertips and blew him a kiss. She delighted in seeing his panicked face as he had no idea how to respond. She turned on her heel and walked toward the room for the press conference. Jeff stood in the elevator, watching Violet leave as the door slowly closed. He felt very teased and was certain she had roundly walloped him the past few moments, though he was still confused at exactly what she did. He knew she liked to play tricks on him and make fun of him. He wondered why he didn't react. Damn it! He cursed at himself, confused. Did she hypnotize me? Is she a witch? The elevator started descending. When it was halfway down to the ground level, he remembered that he was supposed to follow Violet to the meeting room on the previous floor as well. He'd been too stunned and flustered to follow her. He kept remembering what her body looked like as it was almost touching his. The space in between them was so small that it had felt almost like it crackled with static electricity. The doors opened at the lobby and two young women were startled to see the vice president scowling inside, unmoving. They did not enter, trying to be polite, but were confused about why he wasn't getting out. They hurried in, staying on the opposite side of the elevator, and did not utter a word. Does the vice president just ride the elevator for fun? One of them wondered silently. Is this how he thinks of big business ideas? But Jeff didn't care what these young employees thought of him. He furrowed his brows and looked at the warped reflection of himself in the metal of the elevator doors. He wondered what was wrong with them. His hand unconsciously covered his heart, feeling his pulse. Just then, when Violet had stepped toward him, he felt such a panic that he wondered if his heartbeat had been messed up. When the two of them looked at each other, he seemed to have forgotten to breathe. It was a feeling he had never felt before. He watched the display of the floor numbers carefully before finally returning to the floor with the press conference. The thought entered his mind suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere. Do I have romantic feelings for Violet Cartwright?